And this is where I believe the creation and obsession over portrait mode on iPhones have come into play. If you have a blurry background, then you have a good photo, but that's just not the case. If I were to start photography again, I would really want to make sure that I prioritize these three things, especially the last point. Even if you've been doing photography for a while or you're just starting out, here are a few things that I wish I paid more attention to when I first started. I think a lot of us can relate to this one. I was initially attracted to photography because I love the look of a blurry background. That blurriness somehow made any old photo look like a true professional took it. And this is where I believe the creation and obsession over portrait mode on iPhones have come into play. If you have a blurry background, then you have a good photo, but that's just not the case. I started out photography with the kit lens that had an aperture that wouldn't go below f3.5, and I felt like my photos weren't good enough because I couldn't capture that depth of field that made every other photo look so amazing. So believing that I needed that depth of field to take amazing photos, I started to consider, should I upgrade? Should I spend a little more money to get that lens that had a low aperture? When in reality, this train of thought distracted me and took away my time and energy that I could put toward actually taking photos and practicing. Once I was able to get over this mindset and actually learn with the tools that I have, I started to focus on my composition. Something I don't think I would have taken seriously if I continued to rely on having that low aperture. Why worry about my composition skills if my low depth of field lens could just do all the work for me? This may have just been me, but if you're finding yourself relying on that blurry background, you may be restricting yourself from your full scope of creativity and experimenting with different angles and using your environment to add to your photo. And all of this is not to say that aperture isn't important, because it is, but something I wish I knew right from the beginning was achieving a shallow depth of field does not make me a great photographer or challenge my skills. My style, my composition, my storytelling ability, all of those things are what make me a great photographer. Don't fall into the trap like I did. Aperture isn't everything. Okay, so we all know that lighting is vital to photography. When I picked up my first camera, for some reason, this led me to believe that any area with any semblance of light is good enough. I would take my photos and then call it a day. Having some light is better than none, but I didn't quite acknowledge the difference between good lighting and even better lighting. I just didn't give it much thought, and I didn't consider how different types of light could impact your photo. Direct sunlight is such a great example because it can prove to be one of the most difficult types of lighting to shoot with. But it's my personal favorite lighting because it can provide so much stark contrast and add so much drama to your photo. However, you need to know how to use it. This isn't a one-size-fits-all type of situation. I love direct sunlight for my portrait shots to add character and leading lines, but not necessarily for my event or wedding type of photography where I want everyone in the group photos to be evenly lit. So don't do what I did, don't take lighting for granted, and be selective and intentional with how you use it. Keep your weather app on you to know if it's going to be overcast or sunny. Think about the mood or the goals of your photo shoot and what type of lighting it might call for. The way it literally lights up your scene can drastically make your photo shoot experience either incredibly challenging or incredibly easy. Figure out the lighting you like or what helps add to the mood of your photos. And as a beginner or someone who is a little bit more experienced, it's always good practice to shoot in different type of lighting conditions, as this will help you feel prepared and know what to do when your lighting is unpredictable. This one hits close to home as an introvert. I used to curse photography because all I wanted to do was take beautiful photos of people, but I had a lot of resistance against the process of getting out of my shell and actually speaking to people. I have so much to say on this topic, but since doing photography full-time, it has been an uphill battle learning that this process is something I needed to know if I ever wanted to book clients. When I started out, I was so nervous to ask models or even my friends to take photos with, so I resorted to taking self-portraits. I'm actually glad that I was able to find an outlet within my photography that didn't make me so anxious and jump-started my selfie portfolio. But I knew I needed to face my fear and learn how to speak and take photos of others confidently. If you're introverted in any way or have some level of social anxiety, you understand the irrational fear that just takes over when you're trying to expand your social circle. For me, I also have the pattern of expecting no help from others and problem solving everything on my own. So the two combined, it was difficult to pursue portrait and fashion photography because it's such a social and collaborative interest. So after being a recluse for so many weeks and months, I finally was able to build the courage to say yes to collaborations and reach out to new people. It continued to feel like an uphill battle, but with every photo shoot I did, with every photo shoot I got under my belt, I started to feel more and more relaxed and actually focused on my photography rather than focusing on the worry that came with social interaction. I eventually was able to find and create awesome friendships through every photo shoot that I did, and that definitely helped to continue to build my confidence and understanding that I don't need to be fearful. Basically, it's all just exposure therapy and learning to break patterns of avoidance and allowing yourself to flourish. Find your crew, find your community. It's so rewarding to be part of something bigger and to share your creativity together. And if you just find yourself completely alone in your area, you can be the person to start a photography community. I promise you will attract others toward you. Ooh, vulnerability session, you know? If you're a pro with aperture, you already have your lighting down, you already have a photography community, then leave them feeling inspired with this super easy to do editing trick. It's a fast way to spice up your photos and doesn't require a master's degree in Photoshop. Follow me on Instagram to join my photography community, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.